Hi, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about your website, okay? And we've spoken over the last couple of weeks about the importance now, more than ever, of communication with your customer. Now, we've talked about video vlogs, we've talked about Instagram, lots of different things, but one of the most important tools your business can have today is a website, because you can now communicate with your customer even when you're not communicating with your customer face to face, but people are sitting at home, they're browsing, they're looking for ideas, and your website might be that very place that they find their next great idea, right? So we're delighted to have with us today a lady who knows a lot about building website businesses, and her name is Yasmin Vorajee, okay? And Yasmin is going to talk to us about how to get your website up and running in the next 30 days. We're going to talk to Yasmin today about the advantages to your business when you go online, how to go online quickly, and how to market your business online. Now, before we speak to Yasmin, we did a little bit of research about, why it's important for your business today, more so today, to have a website. And we picked up some snippets of information off the internet, and it's very interesting, some of the reading that's out there. But one of the headlines that caught us was from the Irish Examiner, just in November 2019. And they wrote a headline in one of their online subscriptions: a business without an online presence is considered outdated by 2/3 of Irish consumers. So does your business have an online presence? And maybe your customers might consider your business outdated if you don't have an online presence. So it's really important to get your website up and running. Some other interesting facts were 40% of small businesses in Ireland still don't have a website. Does your business have a website? And only 20% of those businesses that do have a website have the ability to take a payment. .ie, the Irish Domain Registry, have said 80% of Irish consumers go online when looking for information about a business. So does your business have its information online? How can people find out about what you do and the services you provide? 83% of these consumers believe that their local business should at least have a basic website. And 3 out of 4 people are frustrated if your business does not have a basic website. So are you frustrating your customers? Maybe you are. And maybe a website is the easiest way to set up some simple communication with your customer. .ie, the Irish Domain Registration, also suggested the results of having a website speak for themselves. Irish small to medium-sized businesses with a website take home an additional 24,000 in revenue every year. And an SME with a website can pick up an additional 22 jobs or sales per year. Now, these are all jobs that everybody would love to have right now, and maybe by having a website, it's the route for you to quickly communicate with your customer and to pick up extra jobs. Excellent. Hello, Yasmin. How are you doing?
Hey, Leo. How are you doing? I'm great, thank you.
Thanks for joining us today.
Oh, you're very welcome. I've got 3 children who are on pain of death if they come and interrupt us, so they're in the garden having ice lollies at the moment.
Oh, very good. Very good. I think a lot of people are in the same boat at the moment.
Yeah.
So I did off camera there, I did an introduction to yourself about your business, but it's always much better and more beneficial for our listeners to hear it from yourself. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about yourself and your business.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Yasmin, and I'm the creator of a business called Tiny Time, Big Results, where I help small business owners run a profitable business in 20 hours a week or less. I'm based in Carrick-on-Shannon in County Leitrim. I'm married to a farmer, which I never thought I would ever. That wasn't part of my life plan, but here I am, married to a farmer. We've got 3 children. They're 3, 6, and 9. And my business is really all about creating freedom in what you do, how you live your life. And so I'm kind of passionate about helping business owners understand how they can get the most out of the time they have.
Okay, so it's like your business, how does it operate? Are you more of an advisor to people about going online and operating a business, or what sort of people do you advise?
Yeah, so the way that I work is through one-on-one mentoring. I also run group programs where I teach my clients specific strategies around using systems, automations, how to package what they do in a way that can be sold online. I teach them how to create online courses, anything that allows you to create freedom in your business. So for me, the ultimate goal is, that passive income dream where you're sitting there thinking, I'm sleeping and I'm making money. And that's possible for every business, I do believe. Like, there's a lot of what I do that would be face-to-face, and I love the face-to-face connection and, networking and all that kind of stuff. But then, you always want to be thinking, okay, well, how else could I be earning an income and creating revenue in my business without me physically having to be present? And I think that's, for a lot of businesses, that's kind of the holy grail. You're thinking, how can I take myself out of a business, but the business still carries on?
And you mentioned there that, like, every business can have an online presence. We would regularly talk to our customers about having an online presence. I mean, it's not easy setting up a website, and we can vouch for that. It's a difficult thing. You're busy every day of the week. Can every business have an online presence? Does it have to be about selling, or what does it have to be about?
Well, every business can. And I really do believe it is not as complicated and as hard as a lot of business owners think it is. When someone comes to me and they say, like, how do I get online? And it's almost like seen to be this mythical thing of getting online. And for me, it boils down to some very, very simple tools. Like, you don't even need to have a full functioning, all singing, all dancing website. You could have a very simple landing page. I remember when I started, and I was in corporate for 12 years before I started my own business. And when I started my business, I didn't have anything to put up. I didn't have content for a website. But what I did do was I created a page that allowed people to sign up to my email list. And I gave them a little booklet of, really valuable business tips. You could literally just have one page that acts as your website. And what you're doing is you're building a database of people who are interested in what you do, how you do it. And they're literally putting their hands up and saying, Yasmin, I want to know more.
Yeah. Interesting. I mean, I read out, just before we introduced yourself, I read out a few, we just did a little bit of research on the internet beforehand about, in the Irish market, about small to medium-sized businesses and do they have websites. And the Irish Examiner ran a story in November last year where they basically said a business without an online presence is considered outdated by 2/3 of Irish consumers. So, it's very apparent now that every consumer, no matter what, the very first thing they do is to check online. So with that question in mind, if you take the kind of the customer base we have, being small to medium-sized businesses, sign makers, printers, why should a business owner go online?
Well, for me, it's about creating an impact. It's about reaching more people. And like, you're absolutely right that, if I meet someone and they say, this is what I do, the very first thing that I tend to do when I'm, back at my desk is I'll Google them and I'll see what they're like and what they do. And, if I'm going to read their blog or watch their videos or whatever it might be. And, and I do believe that, this particular kind of industry could really benefit, because I'm a big believer in marketing through education. So really educating your potential clients and customers about how you can help them. So this isn't about always, look at me, look at what I'm selling and look at this. It's about educating them about why what you do is important. So for sign makers, what does a really good sign tell about your business? What does it say about your business? When you think about someone who maybe, you're making a sign for a barber shop. Is this a high-end barber shop? Is this a low-end barber shop? Is this like a budget barber shop? Your sign says so much about how you operate and your positioning in the marketplace. And so, when you think about, when you're putting your content out there, and so a business owner who is, in this industry, they might be thinking, well, I just make signs. Well, no, you do so much more. You're actually helping that brand to really position themselves, and you're part of that. And so understanding your part in that, I think, is key, because then you're able to educate your market about that.
Yeah, no, that's great advice, because I think it's something we spoke about before with customers, in that when somebody comes to you, they're not necessarily coming just looking for a sign. They're looking to actually grow their business. They're looking to attract customers. So if you can show your customers about how you can make their business look more attractive, they'll potentially come to you over the next guy. So if you can use your website to promote that, that's an interesting fact.
Absolutely.
Like take it to the nth degree. So when someone says, if I said to you, like, what is it that you do? And you say, I make signs, and say, why? Why is that sign important? And ultimately, you will get to that point where they say, well, I want more customers. And so why do you want more customers? Well, I want to make more money. It's like, why do you want to make more money? And you keep asking that why question. And you get to the heart of it. And then they go, oh, so this is what I do. So I'm not just making a sign. I'm helping you to grow your business. I'm helping you to get more clients. And so now the conversation feels like it becomes bigger. So when a business owner is thinking, oh, geez, I have to go online and I have to create content, and immediately that is a block for people. They're like, what kind of content am I going to create? But if you talk about it from getting more clients, what is it that your clients want from you? And so the sign making kind of almost goes into the background. But when they're ready to buy a sign or get some printing done, they're going to think of you, because what you've done is you've landed in their inbox, say every week or every fortnight, with some really valuable tips. And you're going to be the first one that they go to.
Yeah,
what getting online is all about.
Absolutely. I mean, what's interesting as well is that, believe it or not, you have probably more competition offline than you actually do online, because some of the statistics are really interesting, that only 40% of small businesses in Ireland still don't have a website, which is phenomenal. But you answered some of it there, but what is stopping businesses going online? What's the problem?
I think for a lot of people, they feel like they're going to lose that connection. They're going to lose the face-to-face interaction, the rapport building, that they feel like they're going to be missing out, or suddenly they're going to become this faceless entity. It's all online, and, I like to see my people. And, so it's that worry that they're going to lose the rapport. And the way that I look at online marketing is how you build the know, like, and trust factor with your potential clients and customers. So actually you're giving more to them. And the beauty of being online is that you could be anywhere in the world. I remember one of my members of my community, she emailed me and she was in Brazil, and somebody else was in Indonesia, and somebody else was in Australia. And so you think, wow, this is actually phenomenal. In terms of the reach that you can create. So not only from a local or even national, but international. And online allows you to do that. And truthfully, like in this day and age, I remember when I started in 2012, and, I was trying to learn the technology, and, it was kind of like, oh, I've got to get my head around this. But now technology is so much easier and it's so much more accessible that you can actually get set up online relatively quickly.
Yeah, no, I mean, that is the phenomenal thing. And also, it's there to complement your existing business. One of the other statistics we read out before this as well, that the domain.ie suggested that most businesses with a small website can actually generate 24,000 in additional revenue on top of what they're already doing. So it's not something you have to concentrate all the time. It's like an extra communication tool, essentially. Okay.
Absolutely.
Like that, it doesn't have to take up a huge amount of your time, because I think that's one of the challenges that people probably feel like, oh, it's going to take up so much time. But actually it doesn't have to take up a huge amount of time at all.
Yeah. I think with the current climate at the moment, right, we'll avoid using the LC word, but the current climate at the moment, right, is, people are they're hearing a lot of stuff in the media about why it's essential to have a website and why it's essential to do this, that, and the other, right? Now, it's not just essential now to have a website. I think it's essential for the future of every business. But why and what do you need to get online quickly? How do you do it? And is it something you should do quickly or take your time with?
I definitely recommend getting online quickly if you haven't already. And you can do that relatively easily. There's lots of different tools out there that can, give you like a shopfront window without going into the all bells and whistles of a website. And I think this is the challenge that a lot of people think, I'm going to have to spend a lot of money to get a really good website, and I haven't got the money yet, or, that money is going to be used elsewhere. And so I'll take the example of one of my clients. She's based down in Cork. And when she started working with me, she was like, I don't have a website. What do I do? And so what I helped her to do was to create a very simple landing page, which is just a page that someone lands on, and it was her own website, but that was the main static page of her website. And she had a guide that she was giving out for free. So that was her lead magnet. So it was a magnet for potential leads in her business. And what she was doing was she was building her email list. So all she needed was a way to get a landing page, which cost very little. What you need is some kind of email database system, like an autoresponder. So something like MailerLite, MailChimp. These are some of like the really low cost options that you get. And what that means is that if someone gives you their email address and says, hey, Leo, I'd love to know more about your business and what you do, what you're then doing is you're building an email list, and you can then email them every week, every fortnight. I wouldn't recommend any less than every fortnight, and say, this is what's going on in the world of, sign, printing, whatever it might be. Here are some of the special offers that we've got going on at the moment. You see, when someone even lands on your website, if there's no way to capture their attention, they're going to bounce off your website and they're not going to come back. So you need to grab their attention so that they kind of go, oh, I'd like to know a bit more about that.
Yeah. Okay. And what would be the tricks that, say, a sign maker or a printer could use to grab people's attention on their website?
So
like a free report or something around what great signage can do for your business, or how to make, say, for example, someone wants to position their brand as a high-end brand. It's like how a great sign could, make you more money this year. Like you could kind of go back to the bottom line of what businesses really want. It's like how one sign or one brochure or whatever it might be, printing, it could just be something that's going to get them kind of, oh, I really want to know about that. I really want to know. And it's always answer the question, what's in it for me, from the perspective of your potential customer or client. They're going to look at your website and you've got to give them something that they can see immediately impacts them. So a lot of websites, they start off by saying, and maybe this is true in the, signage industry, where they say, we've been trading for 50 years, and, it gives a long history about the company. What you want to do on your website, and even the About Me page on a website, is not about you. It's about the customer. It's about the customer. Yeah. So everything has to be geared to that question of what's in it for me? Why would I give you my email address? Why would I, start a conversation with you? So you've got to give them as many reasons as possible as to why you're the best person to talk to.
Yeah. So, somebody who specializes in vehicle graphics, they can talk about how great branding on a vehicle can win more customers, or somebody who's printing brochures can talk about how, print is not dead, that having a really nice feeling brochure in your hand, can, win you loads of customers. It's things like that. Yeah.
And that as well, it don't be limited by what you produce and what you create. Like, think of it from a broader perspective and think about, business development, like how else you can, you might have heard a really great podcast and you might want to share something that you learned from that podcast. So don't just stay limited to what you do in your business. Yeah. Because then what happens is that you're kind of seen like a thought leader in your industry, and they kind of go, oh, yeah, he knows everything about this. He's really good.
Yeah. Okay. So that's interesting. So it's like literally just sharing nuggets of advice to help other people, and it can be anything. Yeah. Okay. So you're trying to create fans using your website, and, it's all important. Now, it's interesting because my mind is ticking over because, I've been through websites and I've built websites and I've tried to launch websites, and the difficult thing is that you've got to keep maintaining your website. You can't have the same. And essentially what you're saying is a very simple little blog or a little communication is the best way to keep it relevant all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think, you want to be creating or even repurposing your content, so if you've got some, old blogs that you did maybe years ago and you kind of think actually they're really valuable now and you repurpose them. For me, the way that I teach is, it's like if you have a creative client attraction system where you have some of these pieces that I was just talking about, having a lead magnet and having an email marketing strategy, then what you do is your job as the business owner is just to add fuel to that. So it could be through a quick Facebook live video. Like I love for product businesses, I think they're great. Like, if you're making soap or if you're making a sign, film making it and put it up on your Facebook or your YouTube. And people love that. I remember recently we had plumbing issues in the house, and we had no hot water, and then the plumber came and he fixed it, but then there was this awful sound, and I was there googling away, and I ended up on loads of plumbers YouTube channels where they were saying, this is water hammer, this is how you get rid of water hammer, and I was like suddenly an expert in water hammer. Never heard of it before. But these were plumbers who had just put up a few videos about common plumbing challenges in the home. And that's genius, because then you can drive it to the website and drive traffic.
Yeah. So, because I can hear people saying that they're reluctant to show people things or share information, but everything's out there anyway. So they can just discard that and start sharing everything give away all your knowledge as much as you can, and it will come back to you, I think, anyway.
Especially in the signage industry, because if you're going to need someone to make a sign, I'm not going to sit here and go, okay, I'm going to make this sign myself, because I am not the expert in that. So don't be afraid of giving away what because there is that fear, because to be honest with you, ideas are everywhere. And there are no real kind of true innovative ideas. Someone's probably done something somewhere very similar. Like, I think as business owners and entrepreneurs is to think about how you can make something better. It doesn't necessarily mean that you come up with an original idea. But, and I think the thing is, we assume that whatever we see, everyone else sees. There's 7 billion people on this planet, more probably. And so we're not all going to see the same thing. And so don't be afraid of that. And I think that, especially for business owners, if you put yourself out there and just kind of say, like, this is me, this is my business, and this is how I'm going to help you. There's a guy who does, it's a great clothes shop in Sligo. And he I've seen this. Yeah, he has really funny videos. And I was like, thinking, if I needed men's clothing, I'd just probably go there, because his videos are so funny. And I'd be like, I recognize him, because he's the face of it as well. So we like doing business with people that we like. And we feel an affinity to, and we feel like there's a rapport there. So don't be afraid of showing that and infusing your personality into how you market as well.
Great. That's good advice. Now, I suppose everybody sits at home now and they buy things online, right? So if your business, for example, say sells socks, it's easy to sell the socks online. But if you're in a business that doesn't have a tangible product, and it would be the case with a lot of our customers where their product is something that has to be made, designed, thought up, and then it has to be produced and then sold. So your website doesn't have to be a shop per se. It can be more of an experience for the customers, a way of showcasing how good you are. But you can also maybe create a few kind of off-the-shelf products like safety signs or whatever. So it doesn't necessarily have to have a shop, I suppose, is where I'm coming from.
Yeah, and the way that you can get around that is that, you can have mock-ups, or you can have this is what we've done previously for other, like website designers would do that a lot, where they say, these are other websites that I've designed. And then the key thing is, what you want is, for a business that doesn't have a tangible, socks, I'm not going to buy a pair of socks, is to have some way of being able to book consultations. And say, would you like to know more about how I can help you? Book a time here and let's have the conversation. So if I was looking for a new accountant, I'd probably look around and go, I'd like to have a chat with somebody first. So if somebody's looking for signage or brochures or printing or anything like that, and they go, I'd like to have a conversation first, rather than just going, I want 100 of these brochures. And then that way, then I can have a conversation with them, find out what they're looking for, and so you get all of that information. So your website can become a booking system where you can say, here's what we do. If you'd like to know more about how I can help you, then book a time. And that's how I do it in my business. Like, if you look on my website, I have these are the people that have worked with me. This is kind of, I have a bit of a shop, in terms of online courses that I sell. But then I say, if you want to work with me, book a call and let's have the conversation about what you need help with. And that is, that really creates a lot of freedom, because when you have something that's automated like that, everything is done behind the scenes. I don't get involved and say, how about Tuesday at 11 o'clock? Oh, no, that doesn't suit me. You know how you always are toing and froing and I can't do that. I can't do that time. It's all automated. So I just get the notification. I've set the times that are suitable for me. and it frees up a lot of time from the business owner, and you're getting people inbound inquiries.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, and I'm trying to do a scenario to compare what I want to say. But like, take for example, when you jump in a taxi, they complain about Uber, right? That Uber is taking away all their business. Now, Uber's not taking away all their business. They just made it really easy to jump in a car at the side of a street, right? And likewise, all over Europe, there's big printers that are doing, basically, they've got e-commerce shops, and they're making it really easy for people to buy business cards, to buy posters, to buy print. And by you as a business not having a website, you can't complain against these guys because you're just letting them walk away with your customers. So you need to be there waving your hand as you talk about to say, I'm here also.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the key thing is like, how can you make it easier for someone to buy from you? If you're making them jump through loads of hoops and that they just kind of like, oh, I don't know, I can't, if someone's trying to ring your phone number and no one's answering, or they've emailed and nobody's answering, and they're like, okay, there's only so many times that I'm going to try that, and then I'm going to go to someone who actually wants my business. And there is that sense of, do you want my money or not? I'm ready to give it to you, but I need you to, meet me halfway as well.
Yeah. So website communication is as important as answering your phone. If you get an email, you respond back to it. That's the key to it.
Oh, yeah. And I think that's really important. Like, some people kind of say like, well, I don't want to reply because then they're going to think that, I'm doing nothing else. But actually, responding quickly means that could be the difference between a sale or not.
Yeah. So to get online quickly, right? Off the shelf, people can go to all these different vendors like, I'm trying to think of them, like Wick. There's several of them. The names have just left my head there for a moment, right? But you can buy a template for a website and you can be up and running very quickly. All you got to add is your imagery, your bit of text, your communication, your call to action, all these things. So it's really that simple.
Simple, honestly. It doesn't have to be overly complicated. I know when I was looking a few years ago to upgrade my website, and I was looking around, I was getting really big, high quotes, and I was like, I don't really want to spend that much money when I'm not ready, if I'm not convinced that this is going to be the website. And I invested in a platform, WordPress, which was like $99 for everything. It was just a one-off payment, and I've been using that for years now. And all I had to do was add my content and my imagery, but it meant that I was up and running. And so, for me, it's, path of least resistance, try and get this done as quickly as you possibly can so that you have got a presence there. Because oftentimes people say, I need to work on the website, but that's a big project. So if you break it down and you say, okay, so today I'm going to work on that homepage and keep it really nice and simple, make sure that someone knows exactly what it is that you do. Like I always use the example of Corsadil, the mouthwash. I love their advertising because they say like, if your gums bleed when you brush your teeth, you need Corsadil. It's like Ron Seal, it does what it says on the tin. So, and that's one of the challenges that I see a lot of business owners where they get really complicated with how they explain what it is that they do, or they use a lot of jargon, or, it's just not very specific. It's too broad. And so that's one of the things that I'm always really passionate about is when someone tells me what it is they do, I'm like, okay, would my 9-year-old understand that? And
no, you're right.
If he doesn't, then I need you to simplify that. And it's not that you're dumbing it down, but you're really getting like into plain English. I can help you. So like mine is, I can help you run a 20-hour week business. My son goes, yeah, I get what that means. Great. I've had his seal of approval. That means that it's easy to understand. And importantly, it's easy to repeat. So someone else can say to somebody else, and they go, oh, you need to talk to Yasmin. She does that.
Yeah.
It makes it easier.
Okay, that's super advice. Okay, so we've got the website up and running, right? So we've decided on our content. We've got nice imagery and photographs. We're ready to kick off, right? Now, it's not just as simple as plastering it up on the internet. You've got to do something behind it to market it, right? Now, there's all sorts of fancy terminology and search engine optimization and this, that, and the other, and it's a bit of a science, and not everybody understands it, and it's so. What does a small business need to do? Because all my customers understand about how to market themselves at the moment. They go knock on a door, they talk to somebody. That's more difficult now. So how do you market your website? How do you find your customers? What do you do?
First thing I would say is definitely use social media, because that, of course, it's a huge area, but that is such a great way to get started. Think about where your ideal client is going to be. Like, it's not necessarily about where you feel comfortable, but think about where your ideal client is going to be. Are they going to be on LinkedIn? Are they going to be on Facebook? Are they going to be on Twitter or wherever else, or Instagram, or wherever they may be? And then you go there. And, and you tell people what it is that you do, not in a pushy, salesy kind of way, because we don't like being sold to, but we do like buying. We do want to get excited and go, oh, what's that? I wonder what that's all about. And that's where a lead magnet is really powerful, because if you have, some way, say, for example, you've got a printer or a sign maker and they're saying, I've got this great report on how amazing signage or, printing can help you to charge more for your services. If that's on the website, you could go to social media, excuse me, and, say, I've got this great guide. If you'd like to know more, go to, www, whatever. And they go in, and what they do is they put in their email address. Now you're building your list. Now what you're doing is you're creating an asset in your business, because if you only built your business on social media, and this is what I see a lot of people have done, and to the detriment in some cases, is if you only build a presence on social media, but you don't have any way of being able to communicate with them except social media. If social media disappeared for whatever reason, or if Facebook banned you, which has happened, now you cannot get in touch with those people. And that's why a list is so important. So you have something like that free report, they come and get it. So even if Facebook suddenly, went kaput overnight, you could still tomorrow email your list and say, I'm still here. Let me tell you what's going on in my world. So that email list, people think that, oh, do I need an email list? That is an asset in your business.
Yeah. Okay. So it was interesting, because I was talking to a small business owner there last week, and he told me he had 2,000 followers on Facebook. And I was like going I was basically trying to encourage him, going, that's 2,000 customers. That's amazing. So it's, communicating with them through social media, bringing them back to your website, showing them what you can do, coming up with new ideas every week, just posting them up. And it's like going to meet one of your clients face to face. You're just doing the same thing all the time, building that relationship.
And be mindful of what I call the vanity metrics. Like, some people say, oh, I've got thousands of followers.
Yeah.
Are they on your list, first of all? Or are they all just on Facebook or LinkedIn? Are they real? Because the reality is, on social media, some crazy statistic I remember reading, and I don't know if it's right, but it was saying it's a high percentage of users are trolls and fake accounts. So you might see someone has 15,000 followers, but are they real? And so, I would always prefer quality over quantity. So even if you only have a list of 1,000 people, if that's good quality list, it's much more lucrative for you in your business than a list of 10,000 who never engage with any of your things and are never going to be the right customer for you. So it's important to be mindful of the things that actually move the needle in your business. So I wouldn't be the one saying, here's how you get, 10,000 followers, because you can buy those, if you go you can buy those. And I said to my son, he's 9 and he wants to create a course on YouTube. And he was saying, I can help you get more subscribers on YouTube. And so I was sitting there going, okay, so how many subscribers? And then he was like, okay. So I was helping him with his content creation. And he was saying, I said, but why does that person want 100 subscribers on YouTube? And he says, because it's going to look cool. It's not going to look cool. They want to make money.
I know, exactly. And if you go back to, I remember when I did my sales training, back in 1990 or whatever, right? And there was it was all about the shaking the hand. It was all about getting that business card. and that business card was your contact. So now you've 2,000 followers on Facebook, but you need to have someone's business card in your hand, which is their email address, and you use that to keep the communication up.
No, yeah, really good.
Absolutely.
That's really good. That's really good advice.
When you think about, when you were asking the question about, like, how do you market and get your website out there and your lead magnet, and one of the things that works really, really well is video. Video is so powerful because it helps to cut away a lot of that, the obstacles that people feel, like, they think, oh, I'm going to lose the face-to-face connection, I'm not going to build rapport with people. But actually video helps you to do that. And I've often been to events where someone comes to me and they're like, oh, Yasmin, I feel like I know you because I've watched your videos, and how I am on my videos is how I am in real life. And that's how I talk. I don't put on an accent, or I don't do something different. This is me. And so, people feel like they get to know you and what you're doing. I mean, ultimately business is about building relationships. And so, I think we move away from this idea that, business is about, looking someone in, the whites of their eyes and sitting over a cup of coffee or shaking their hand, which can't be done at the moment. But you think, I can still build relationships. I can build relationships through my videos. I can build relationships through my email marketing. I can build relationships online. And, it's powerful.
Yeah, brilliant advice. I suppose, look, the last question, I'm trying to bring it around now to the current environment, right? Mm-hmm. And I get a sense a lot of people are waiting almost for something to pass, and I suppose the reality is that we're in the middle of something, and it's something new, and there's going to be a new way of doing business. So I suppose you've probably given this a lot of thought. Now more than ever, how important is a website for someone's business, do you feel?
I think it's more important than ever. I think sometimes when we talk about a website, that again kind of feels quite limiting, whereas I would think of it more as online presence.
Okay.
What do you need to do to get the word out about what it is that you do? So what's your online presence? So your website is there for people to find out more about you. And, one of the things that I recommend is, if you have, if you've never had a website or online presence before, if you wrote like 5 blogs and 5 videos and just put that up there, and somebody said to me, oh, you need to check out Leo. And I go, okay. And I land on your website and I read your 5 blogs and I watch your 5 videos. It's almost like I'm binge consuming your content, like Netflix. But people get a feel for you very quickly, and they're going, oh, I like this guy, I like his style and I like what he does. And so, it's about your online presence, and it's about letting people know what it is that you do, who you help, how you can help them, and letting people know that you exist. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges is visibility, that when you don't have the online presence, you're very limited to what who you can get out to. So at the moment, if you can't go knocking on doors, okay, so what's the next thing? And truthfully, I do believe that this is going to be, the new norm, that, we're going to be more online, and everyone's talking about Zoom, and they're like, oh, this is, I'm going to get to, and I was like, I've been doing this for years. I've literally been running my business with Zoom for years now. And this is my normal anyway. But I see so many more people using this and thinking, okay, how can I do my business with a greater online presence? And, that it allows me to reach more people. And, and I think every business owner, I mean, whether you pivot or not, I know that's been a bit of a buzzword about pivoting. You might not need to pivot. You might just need to do things differently.
Yeah. So absolutely. And the website will help you find new customers and find new opportunities. And we often have customers tell us that, so they have a device called a large format digital printing machine, say, for example, and it can do a million things. There's so many opportunities with it, but their customer keeps coming back for the same thing all the time. And now is a chance to say, look, I do this for you, but I can also do this, I can do this, and I can do this. And it's a great story to tell on a website, all the different opportunities that you can offer people.
Yeah, I would definitely, for, this industry, I would recommend them thinking about, okay, how can we educate our market? And it could just be as simple as, let me show you how this machine works. Let me show you what we can do for you. Let me, and it could be like before and after pictures, like this is a really, a sign that I don't think is really well designed. Look at this sign. I remember watching an episode of At Your Service. Remember the one with the Brennan brothers?
Oh yeah.
And so I don't live far. I don't live very far from Lockheed, Forest Park, and there was a house featured on this particular program, and it was like the B&B guest accommodation. And they this was she had like a fairly basic sign, but I remember when they got this gorgeous big stone sign made up. Oh my God, it just raised the kind of the persona of that accommodation up several notches, because it looked really high end. And every time I drive past that, not at the moment obviously, but every time I drive past that, it just looks class. And I think that that's the difference. So, for people in this industry, I would encourage you to think about how can you educate your market on what you do and how you can help them. But then, don't be limited by that. Go beyond that and think, how can I add even more value? It's exciting. There's lots of opportunities.
Brilliant. Yasmin, thanks a million for your time. Really appreciate it.
Welcome. Great
we're going to share your links with our customers afterwards. And I suppose, like everybody else, you're open for business. Even
Absolutely.
though you're up in Carrick-on-Shannon, you can't leave your house. And look, anybody can have a meeting with you like this, because it does feel like we're sitting talking to each other in a meeting room somewhere. So it's
absolutely. Yeah.
And you gave us really good advice there. I really appreciate it.
Oh, you're very welcome. I enjoyed every minute of it.
Okay, super job.